a world where we have everything and it's still not enough, we're often left wondering, is this really it?
Deep inside, you know there's more to life. You're ready to leave behind the old push your way through and claim the deeper, more meaningful life that's calling you.
That's what we invite you to explore with us.
We're your hosts,
Stephanie Allen
and Maren Stephanie. And this is the Soulful Leader Podcast.
Yay! Hi, welcome to the Soulful Leader Podcast. This is Stephanie and I'm here with Maren. And we're looking today and speaking today about motivation. What motivates you? Is it pain to get you, to move your butt off of something? Or is it joy and meaning and purpose? Which one is it? Because I can tell you, I see this in myself, I see this in my clients, that a lot of time, if it ain't broke, don't fix it kind of thing. It isn't, things don't happen for us until we actually, our butts are on fire. And then we're like, oh, shoot, I better look at that. And that can be a whole thing around pain, motivating us to do something. And there's a great cost to that.
I was just talking to one of my clients about that, and she's got multiple businesses, and she does super well when they're on fire. When she's right at that edge of she's about to lose everything and has to, move this from over there to over here and then do this. And she's so motivated, and it's that adrenaline rush that happens. And we've done podcasts before about the internal chemicals that we get. Our body produces all the chemicals that we could take out there in the outer world, whether it's, alcohol or drugs or whatever. Our body actually produces that for ourselves. And we get addicted to our own personal chemical cocktail. And I think taking the time to look inside and ask that question, what is my motivator? So that we can see whether, it's like, is that where I get my addiction fed? Is because I can only get motivated. I get my butt in gear when the house is on fire, literally. The business is on fire. I'm, about to lose my shirt, whatever it is. That's a hard way to live.
It is. And I mean, you see that when we procrastinate about something, what we're doing is renumerating about it over and over and over again, but we're not taking any action. And I don't mean action in the outer world. I'm also talking about action in the internal self too. If it's like, worrying, fixating about something doesn't change it. It actually creates even more drama inside yourself. So there's an internal action that needs to happen too. It's like, well, why am I thinking about this? Why don't I just sit down and start to plan it? Or why don't I, call somebody to get for help to do this with me? But we get addicted to that remuneration, that internal fixation, because it feeds us on some level, even though it doesn't. The way I say there's a cost, because it does cost us energy and time and relationship and connection and meaning and purpose. It wastes so much energy that we could be using in a different way.
So one of the things that I found for myself is when I ask this question, because I really related to my client. I've been that person who, it's like, yeah, that's the boring route. I want to go the 10X. I want to do the all in. I want to, like that high pressure. Yeah, let's go. That's, high rational. I, do the achievement thing. Been there, done that, and paid the price. There is a cost. So one of the questions that I look at for myself is, what's the benefit that I get out of it? Because if you weren't getting a benefit out of the drama, you wouldn't be in the drama. So it's serving you.
That's a great
somehow,
question. Yeah,
right?
and to take the time to look at that, to be with that. That's not a comfortable place.
No, it's not.
It
takes a lot of honesty. It takes a lot of honesty.
Mm-hmm. And to also not be shaming yourself about it either, but to just go, that's really interesting. I wonder why I chose that person or that event or that situation, there may be a guidance in it, a lesson in it for you that's calling, something really great to come out of it. But there also can be something that is like, why would I have attracted that? For what purpose? Did I fixate in on that?
You know, recently on one of our podcasts, we talked about the one thing. Like there's one thing that kind of eats at all of us. How do we, for some people it's their finances, for some people it's their health, for some people it's relationships. And like we can get most of our life going pretty good, and that one thing still is like a thorn in our side. And I often think that that's the place where the gold is, which is kind of what our podcast was about. You guys can go back and listen to that. So when I'm looking at that question that I ask myself, what's the benefit that I get out of it? That's usually the place that I'll go and be like, oh, that little thorn in my side, there is a gift in it. It is where the gold is.
Mm-hmm.
And like you said, you have to be willing to go inside and look at it, for one thing. The second thing is that you have to be willing to and or interested in getting that, how it's serving you, getting that benefit some other way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Right?
because I think it's important that even before looking at the benefits and everything, to not take it personally. Because I think there can be a part of us that can be very sensitive and go, oh my God, this is about me. I attracted that. Why am I attracting that? We can kind of go into that, oh, I'm a poor sad tomato kind of thing.
Mm.
Versus going, what if it wasn't, don't take it personally. What if it was an opportunity, working with a friend yesterday, and she's a really great counselor and has amazing amount of tools. And she was kind of confessing to me, she's like, WTF? Like I have all the gifts and all the strengths, and why am I still attracting this? And I said, well, maybe it's about looking at it differently. Maybe it's about seeing that you actually are using your gifts and your strengths and your talents and your tools, and you're on an edge, and now you're ready to break through that edge. So you have stepped outside of that familiarity, and all these other parts of it coming up and just going, just testing you.
Right.
Because you're in a place you haven't been before. Congratulations. Like, I think we default to that personal thing of saying, oh my God, I screwed up again, or I made a mess, or this is a pattern. Why do I keep doing this? And that's what I'm saying. Don't take it personally. Like, take it off that and almost become a witness of saying, let's be honest. Have you been aware in the last little while about working through this and taking risks and challenges and growth, moving towards an ideal? Then you aren't going backwards. You're actually
No.
going forward. And maybe all of this stuff's coming up because you are going forward and you're in a place you haven't been before, even though it looks the same.
Well, and that makes me think of, the saying that the two hardest places are when you're starting something and when you're finishing something. And 99% of the people give up right at that moment when they are about to break through. And the reason is because when you're on that edge, right? It's where everything comes up in your face and you start to doubt everything that you've just done. You've invested all this time to get to, X. Say, for example, if you're, somebody who struggles with finances, and you're finally about to break through and make that next level of finances, and now you start doubting yourself and you stop, you're like, or you get distracted and you're like, oh, this is going to solve it all, and you go and put your energy someplace else. And what really needed to happen was doubling down where you were and working, it's like, so how do you know when
Yeah.
when
Great
you're at
question.
that edge where it's like, no, just stay the
Should I stay
course.
or should I go? The talking heads.
Right?
Should I stay
Stay,
or should I go?
yeah. Do I stay the course, or is it really truly asking me, saying, you know what? Are you sure you're going the right way? Maybe you need to go over there. Do you have any insights on that, of like how you know when you're
Yeah.
on an edge and how you know when
That's
you're just
been,
going the wrong direction?
yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think that's individual, but what I've been experiencing and what I've been practicing with myself lately is when I don't know, I tell myself, well, that's good because now I'm in a place I haven't been before.
Mm.
So congratulations, Stephanie. That's good.
That's so unusual because usually we're told by society when you don't know, go figure it out. You need to know.
Yeah.
You need to
And
have
I
an answer.
and I think, again, I think if I could have figured it out, I would have already, but I'm in a place I haven't been before. So instead of trying to make all these assumptions and all of this reactivity of like, because then I'm taking my past, my old self, and just taking up all those patterns and redoing them again.
Yeah,
So instead, I don't. I just sit there. I just sit there. I had
I
a good
love
friend the
that.
other day. I questioned him about something and he was so good because it was kind of like a challenge. And he's like, that's such a great question. I'm going to go meditate on that. And I'm
Mm.
like, what a great answer. Like what he's saying is like, I'm going to go and sit with that.
Yeah.
I don't have an answer. And I'm okay with not having an answer. But what my response is, I'm going to go and be with it
Mm.
and be with it until the answer finds me. There's an old saying, it's like, if you hold the question long enough, the answer will find you. And I love that. Instead of looking for the answers in all the wrong places, you know, just sit there, just be there and
So
hold
one
the
of
question.
one of the things about answers is that once you arrive at an answer, possibility goes away. So once you have an answer, that's it. I got it, or the answer, right? When you're in
So are
a
you saying like it
question,
becomes concrete kind of thing?
yeah,
Is
it
that what you're
becomes
saying?
concrete, right? Because it's like, aha, this is it. All the other things fade away, all the
All
other
the other
possibilities,
possibilities.
right? And there's a time and a place for that because otherwise we live in indecision, right? It's like we're not doing anything. And for me, it's a conversation with life so that it's not my ego saying, I know. It's what's aligning in my life that's pointing to X, Y, or Z. So regardless of how excited I get about any one particular thing, I don't act on it yet. I used to. And
Yeah.
I've learned to be patient and be like, okay, where does that align with other things? Because what I found most of the time is when I get really excited about something and it's just kind of like a random thing out of the blue and I can't actually say, well, that aligns with this, and this. And so it comes together and it's like, oh, that all fits together. When it's just something I get excited about, it's a squirrel moment, squirrel, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's usually where I'm being distracted by some part of me that is like, no, like success is right over there. Let's go this way instead.
Yeah, we tend to be chasing it. We're always chasing it. And then, it, whatever it is, can't find us. We're not home to receive.
Yeah.
And then you can use the other extreme of that too. And sometimes people say, well, if it's meant to be, it's meant to be. It'll just happen.
Mm.
But that won't, you have to, not have to, but it's very wise to then have a practice that allows you to be present to that which you are questing.
Mm.
So you're sitting, but you're not vacating. You're not just going, oh, well, if it's meant to be, it's meant to be. You're sitting and you're presencing what wants to happen. What is this situation calling of me?
Mm.
What does it want me to see? How does it want me to become? And not again figuring it out, but presencing those questions because the answers will come. They'll find you. And probably many answers will find you.
So, in today's day and age of shortcuts and AI will do it for you and
Yeah.
all of the stuff, that ability to, I guess, focus and pursue. Um, and also, it goes back to what we started with the motivation, right? So, what's motivating us? If something else is doing all the work for us, who are we becoming?
Mm.
Are we just a cork on the river floating down, going, okay, well, AI is going to do this, and I can get this person to write that, and I can, like, what? I think they're great tools. And I think it really means that we have to be even more diligent about what does that mean for me? Where is it calling me to what's my mastery? What
Mm-hmm.
am I meant to master? If AI is going to write this thing for me and create, I just did an Eventbrite, and it said, would you like they have an AI now. Would you like Eventbrite to create your event for you? Oh, I'll try that. And so I typed in my title and it pulled an image for me. It created my copy based on a title. And I wasn't happy with it because it didn't reflect what I actually wanted. I found it interesting I was like, oh, isn't that interesting? And how many people are like, great, because I'm really clear about where I'm going and the articulation of that and what I want to say, I knew that that wasn't for me. And I think that we're missing something now.
It reminds me of psychics. And I'm not putting down psychics, but like when someone goes to a psychic
Mm.
and says, what's in store for me? And you let somebody else see what they see and tell you what they tell you. But it's like, and I'm not trying to control this, but it's like, I want to discover my own inner meaning. I want to discover and unpack the gifts and strengths and the unfolding of my own life. I guess I've always been a kind of a child at heart, and I think about presents, whether it's a birthday present or a Christmas present. Like, don't tell me what's in my present before I unwrap it. I want to be surprised and delighted. And I think there's a whole society that we have been told that being surprised and delighted is not safe. It's like being
Mm.
in the unknown is not safe. And so, whether it's AI, whether it's a psychic, whether it's, we want to just be running away or running towards something else because we don't want to sit still in the unknown, I think that's a cost not only to ourselves, but to our society. Like, we're just always distracted and always moving, and we're not really centered or developing that inner capacity to both give and receive from a deeper place.
Yeah. And I think again, there's a question that I would ask if I am going to employ AI or somebody else to do something for me, what space does that allow me to develop in myself? And am I doing it? Or is it just so that I can vacate?
Yeah, yeah, because everything serves, everything's good. I mean, I'm not saying it's right or wrong or good or bad, but it's like it's really looking at that motivation. Like,
Yeah.
for what
Am
purpose am I? Yeah,
am I moving? I love the question that you asked at the very beginning. Am I moving towards something? Am I motivated by joy and by where I'm going because I'm so excited about
and
it?
curiosity
And
and wonder.
curiosity, in which case now I'm going to keep growing and developing as a person. If I'm motivated by fear and pain, I'm always going to be just moving away from fear and pain, which means that I don't know where I'm going. I am a cork floating on the river wherever it's
Mm-hmm.
going to take me, running from this, running from that. Oh, I want, someone to take care of that for me, someone to take care of this for me. So what does that mean for me? Where
Mm-hmm.
am I going? And these are the important questions. It's so interesting because my client yesterday, that's what I wanted to get from her. It's like, where are you going with it? And one of the beautiful things that I love is that for her, she actually knows that we've worked together for a while, and she's gotten to the point where it's like, I know really clearly where I'm going. So it's easier to look at the pain points when you're clear about the joy points, about where you're going with
Yeah.
it, and that's one of
And
the
it's
beauties.
easier when you're clear about the both the pain and the joy to actually sit in the uncomfortability
Yeah.
because there's something beyond. Then you can be present. You can tell yourself a different story about fear
Mm.
or about uncomfortability or doubts. You can tell yourself a different story because it's so important when you think of that word, restorying. Just like, again, my wonderful, friend who's the therapist who was judging herself about I'm not doing all that I know already. And I'm like, well, you are. You're just in a place you haven't been. Like, let me give you a new perspective. You're outside your comfort zone and because you're evolving. And so let's tell yourself a different story, because that's what's going to impress you. That's what's going to basically nourish you and feed you and direct you in a different way. It's like what we think and believe literally changes our whole scope of how we respond in life
I love
or
that you
react.
gave that example because I think a lot of times when people hear tell a different story, they may not understand what that means. It's like, well, the story's the story. What do you mean? Here are the facts.
Right.
And so, with your example of the facts are that she's struggling, right?
Yeah.
So what she tells herself, the struggle itself is one thing. Great, you're struggling. We all go through that. Then the story that we tell ourselves about the struggle, because I'm not good enough, because I did something wrong, because I need to be a better person, because I didn't follow somebody's advice, because I did follow somebody, like all of that, those are the
Mm-hmm.
stories. And to look at it from a higher perspective, which is one of the things that you gave her of, maybe it's because you did everything right.
Yeah. And maybe, you're actually
You're
in a
moving
new place that you haven't
right.
been before.
And that's
And to
that's a
celebrate
beautiful, exciting
yeah,
thing, right?
celebrate yourself that actually the things that you have been working for, you haven't laid them down. You have been present to the difficulties and the challenges in your life. You have used your tools
Right.
and your consciousness and awareness. And so what makes you think you did something wrong? Like maybe it's because you did something right. Maybe you're in a new place you haven't been before.
So
Congratulations.
that's what we mean by telling a different story,
Yeah.
and being able to do that. I mean, as leaders, it's so important for us to be able to do that, not only for ourselves, but for our teams and our businesses, because there is so much information trying to tell us. I have been doing research about how much we're literally impressed. You were talking about being
Mm-hmm.
impressed. How much we're impressed upon by ads, by this multi-billion-dollar industry of advertising. And depending on where I saw it, like the different places had different numbers. So we are impressed by ads between 6 and 10,000 times a day. 6 and 10,000 times
Yeah.
a day, there's an ad. So if you think about that, any type of ad is showing you where you're not good enough, what you should look like, what you should be like, what you should be doing in your business, what you're not doing in your business. It's all the things all the places you're not good enough,
Mm-hmm.
right?
And this is so important as to where you're putting your attention and your presence, your
And
awareness.
knowing, if you don't clearly know where you're going and have that to hold on to as a thread, like, right? This is why I'm here on the planet. And I'm so clear about that. Then I can cut through all of that noise.
Yeah, and I'm going to even add something to that too, Maren, because sometimes you don't know. Sometimes you don't have the clarity. Sometimes you don't have the thread to hang on to. And so, for those of you that are thinking that too, I'd also say be clear about what's being impressed upon you and
Mm.
ask yourself, what you surround yourself with, what you listen to, who you hang out with. Are you watching the news all the time? Are you reading the newspapers? Either right or wrong, but why? Why are you reading them? Like what, and where's your attention going on these newspapers or in the news or different things like that? And is that feeding your soul or is it making you feel hopeless and helpless? I'm always looking at that because if you don't have clarity just yet, be really mindful about what you're surrounding yourself with, what you're feeding your soul with, because it is going to impress you. And so I would highly suggest you choose things that lift you up and inspire you and to surround yourself with people who are clear, who
Mm.
are, doing the internal work to discover their gifts and strengths and who they are and why they're here, hang out with, advertisements of that, or, like, seriously, because I mean, like, thousands, like you're saying, thousands and thousands of imprints that we're getting all day long.
All day long.
Yeah. And so choose wisely what you listen to, what you look at, who you hang out with deeply impresses the quality of your life. I can't tell you how many times I hear people say, when I ask them, how you doing? Oh, I'm living the dream. And I'm like, what
You
is your
sound like
dream?
it.
You don't sound like it, right? Well, it's the sarcastic thing. And it's like,
Right.
well, do you know what your dream is? Would you like to live your dream? Or are you hanging out with people who are living the dream? It's really, I know it's comfortably familiar, but it's not always healthy. Like, to actually start to shift it and go, well, what if I was living the dream? I don't even know what that would look like. What would it feel like? Who do I know that's already living the dream? What kind of things do I want to put my attention and presence into that is living the dream? That's just an example, but whatever it is that your heart or that you're longing for, go put your time and energy around that, because that's what's going to impress you and that's what's going to help you.
Yeah. And I mean, this is essentially what we do with our clients is we help people to connect to that place of and help them to get clear about that. This is not just here's what I want to do right now. It's the call of your heart. I mean, for many of our listeners and most of our clients, they've already been there, done that, of like, I've done all the stuff that somebody else told me to do, and I've achieved I'm living the dream, right? And they say it with that sarcasm because there's still a piece of them that's like, no, really? I was sold a bag of caca because it's not what I was promised. There's this longing inside of my heart. And so when you feel that longing and it's disconnected from what you're actually doing out in the world, that can be really hard on us.
Oh,
And those are the
extremely.
people that, like we're helping and that we work with to change themselves, to change their businesses, to lead differently, to lead from the soul instead of from the head, which is where we're taught to lead from.
So what I tell people when they're stressed, they're either stressed because they're in the caca-poo-poo-ness, and they're not clear. And so they're really out of misalignment with their values, their dreams, their goals, their passions, and they don't have that self-awareness. So that's a really wonderful journey that you can shift quite beautifully. Or people are stressed because they are outside of their comfort zone and they've already moved into the direction that they do want to go, and they haven't been there before.
Mm.
So they're needing some restoration to go, oh yeah, to remember that actually, yeah, this is where I want to go. And so to be gentle and kind with themselves and to have impressions around them that actually support them with that.
And, it's interesting. We actually are starting up a program where we're working with people on this on a regular basis. So if it will be, we do work with people, one on one, and we've been, people want more of a group program. So we're developing our group program right now. So if you'd like more information about that, we would love to have you be a part of the group. And you can find information on it and get on our website, get on our email list so that you'll be the first one who's made aware of the group program. It'll probably start in October or November of this year. So if you'd like to get information on that, go to our website at tslp.life. So it's the first letters of the Soulful Leader Project, tslp.life. And you can find information about that because it's really, really important that we step into our why.
Mm-hmm.
For ourselves, like you said, because there's that healing that needs to happen inside. And for the planet, because there's also the healing that needs to happen outside.
I think of the story of like when you go and you listen to a musical ensemble, say, and you have a musician who is really out of tune. It's like, everyone else is doing great, but everyone, one is just like, oh man, they really shouldn't be playing that instrument, or they really need some voice lessons. It unfortunately it creates a dissonance with everybody, like everybody who's playing it, everyone who's listening to it. That's really kind of what we're like too when we're stressed, and we're kind of like that. We're out of tune. So to allow yourself to get tuned in, and so stay tuned in, and check out our website for sure.
Yeah. And that's one of the reasons we want to do it on a regular basis, because it's not a one and done. So we'll be meeting regularly as a small group, and we'd love to have you be a part of it. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you the next time on the Soulful Leader podcast.
And that wraps up another episode of the Soulful Leader podcast with your hosts, Stephanie Allen
and Maren Oslack. Thank you for listening. If you'd like to dive deeper, head over to our website at thesoulfulleaderpodcast.com.
Until next time.